You're there among people, but something inside you always seems to be one step behind, observing everything from a distance that even you can't fully explain. Others talk, laugh, connect with an ease that seems natural, almost automatic, while you feel as if you're watching it all through invisible glass. And then comes that question echoing in your mind, why do I always feel so distant? Why does it seem like there's something in me that others can't reach? The answer, my friend, might lie precisely in the depth with which you feel things. Perhaps your apparent coldness is actually the result of a sensitivity so intense that you had to learn to protect yourself from it. Today, through Albert Camus' wisdom, we'll explore 5 traits that make you seem distant, but that reveal a soul that feels too much, not too little. The first trait that can make you appear distant in others' eyes is this natural tendency toward deep observation before any real engagement. You're not one of those people who simply dives headfirst into social situations or gets carried away by the current of superficial conversations. There's something in you that needs to first understand, analyze, feel the weight and texture of the moment before deciding how and if you'll participate. Camus spoke about this human condition of always being somewhat separated from the world, observing our own existence as both spectators and participants simultaneously. And perhaps you experience this more intensely than most people. When you're in a conversation circle, for example, while others are focused on what they'll say next, you're absorbing not just the words, but the silences between them, the expressions that quickly pass across faces, the small contradictions that no one else seems to notice. This deep observation can make you take longer to respond, can make your contributions to conversation less frequent, but infinitely more thoughtful. And this, to those who don't know your internal process, can seem like disinterest or detachment. But the truth is you're more present than anyone else in that room. You're feeling everything with an intensity that sometimes becomes almost unbearable. You observe because you need to process, you distance yourself because you need to breathe amid so much emotional and sensory stimulation. It's as if you're a different type of person, someone who needs time and space to digest reality before reacting to it. And this isn't coldness, this is depth. The second trait that's frequently interpreted as detachment is your complex relationship with conventional emotions and social expectations. You've probably found yourself in situations where everyone around was showing enthusiasm for something that seemed artificial, superficial, or simply didn't resonate with you in the same way. Camus taught us about the absurd nature of the human condition, about how we often find ourselves disconnected from the rituals and meanings that society imposes on us as natural and necessary. And perhaps you feel this particularly acutely. When everyone is celebrating something that doesn't awaken the same euphoria in you, when everyone is lamenting something you see from a different perspective, when everyone is following an emotional script that simply doesn't make sense for your life experience. This can make you seem cold, disconnected, as if you're not capable of feeling the same things others feel. But reality is exactly the opposite. You feel so much and so intensely that you've developed a kind of emotional filter, an ability to distinguish between what's genuine and what's social performance. You can't fake enthusiasm for something that doesn't truly move you. You can't force tears for something that doesn't genuinely touch you. You can't embrace collective emotions if they don't echo with your personal and authentic experience. This can make you be seen as someone who doesn't care, but actually you care so much that you can only express what is truly yours. Your apparent coldness is, in reality, an unconscious refusal to be false to yourself and others. It's a form of emotional honesty that not everyone can understand or value. Leave a comment now telling me, do you also feel this difficulty connecting with emotions that everyone around seems to share naturally? Write only, I feel this too, if you recognize yourself in this experience. Knowing that other people go through the same thing will help you realize you're not alone in this journey of feeling things more deeply and authentically. And your response might also touch other people who are watching and feeling exactly the same way you do. The third trait that contributes to this perception of detachment is your constant need for time and space to process life. While most people seem capable of living on autopilot, reacting immediately to situations, making quick decisions, moving forward without much questioning, you have this characteristic of needing to pause, reflect, feel the weight of each experience before moving ahead. Camus spoke about the importance of living consciously, of not getting carried away by the rush of existence, without questioning, without feeling, without really experiencing each moment. And perhaps you're naturally aligned with this philosophy, even without being aware of it. When something happens in your life, whether good or bad, you can't simply file away the experience and move on. You need to unfold each layer of what happened. You need to understand not just what occurred, but how it affected you, what it meant, how it connects with other experiences you've already lived. This need for deep processing can make you seem slow to recover from difficult situations, can make you take longer to make important decisions, can make you need more alone time than most people can understand. And this, to those observing from the outside, can seem like isolation, can seem like you're avoiding life or people. But the truth is, you're doing exactly the opposite. You're living each experience more completely and deeply than would be possible if you simply followed the frenetic pace that society imposes. You need this time, because each experience affects you more intensely, because each situation leaves deeper marks on you, because your way of existing in the world requires this careful digestion of reality. It's not laziness, it's not avoidance, it's not coldness. It's emotional and existential depth manifesting in how you need to live to remain authentic to yourself. The fourth trait that can be misinterpreted as detachment is your unique relationship with vulnerability and emotional intimacy. You've probably noticed that even when you're surrounded by people you like, even when you're in close and meaningful relationships, there's still a part of you that remains reserved, protected, as if there were layers of your internal experience that you can't or don't want to share easily. This doesn't happen because you don't trust people or because you don't care about them. Actually, it happens because you feel things so intensely that the very idea of completely exposing this intensity can seem overwhelming, both for you and for others. Camus wrote about the fundamental solitude of human beings, about how even in our most intimate relationships, we still exist as separate individuals, carrying our own existential burdens. And perhaps you experience this solitude more consciously and acutely than most people. You can be deeply connected with someone and still feel that there's an essential part of you that remains unreachable, not by choice, but by nature. This emotional reserve can make you seem cold or uninterested, can make others feel that you don't open up completely, that you don't truly surrender to relationships. But what they don't understand is that your way of loving and connecting is different. You can't surrender superficially or theatrically. You can't force an intimacy you don't genuinely feel. You can't open your heart performatively. When you connect with someone, this connection comes from such a deep place that it needs time to develop, needs trust to manifest, needs authenticity to sustain itself. Your apparent reserve is, in reality, a way of protecting the intensity of your feelings, a way of ensuring that when you really open up, this opening is true and meaningful. The fifth and perhaps most complex trait that contributes to this perception of detachment is your natural tendency to question not just the situations and people around you, but the very foundations of existence and meaning. While most people can accept social structures, established values, collective narratives without much questioning, you have this characteristic of always being somewhat skeptical, always looking for something deeper, always questioning whether what everyone accepts as true really makes sense to you. Camus dedicated his life and work to exploring exactly this human condition, this need to question the absurd nature of our existence, to seek meaning in a universe that seems to offer no clear answers. And perhaps you're naturally inclined toward this type of existential questioning. You might be in a conversation about future plans and wonder about the meaning of making plans in such an uncertain world. You might be listening to someone talk about their ambitions and question the real value of these ambitions in the grand scheme of things. You might be participating in celebrations or social rituals and feel a fundamental disconnection from the meanings that everyone else seems to find in these experiences. This can make you seem pessimistic, nihilistic, or simply uninterested in life. But the truth is you're deeply interested in life, so interested that you can't accept superficial or prefabricated versions of what life should mean. You need to find your own meaning. You need to build your own philosophy of life. You need to discover your own reasons for continuing to exist and relate to the world. This constant questioning can create distance between you and those who live more automatically. but it can also lead you to a deeper and more authentic understanding of your own existence. Your apparent coldness is, in reality, a passionate search for authenticity and genuine meaning. These 5 traits, when seen superficially, can indeed make you seem like a cold, distant person, disconnected from the world and people around you. But when we understand the depth behind each of them, when we understand that they arise from heightened sensitivity and not from a lack of sensitivity, we begin to see a completely different picture. You're not distant because you don't care. You're distant because you care too much. You're not cold because you don't feel. You're reserved because you feel so intensely that you need to learn to dose this intensity to be able to function in the world. You're not uninterested because life doesn't affect you. You question and observe because every aspect of existence impacts you deeply, and you need to find authentic ways to deal with this impact. If you've made it this far and are recognizing yourself in this description, if you're feeling that finally someone managed to put into words something you've always felt but never knew how to explain, then maybe it's time to consider subscribing to the channel. I'm not here to sell you anything or pressure you into anything. I'm here because I believe that people like you, people who feel deeply and question genuinely, need to know they're not alone in this journey. Subscribing means being part of a community of people who also see the world through this more contemplative and authentic lens. It means receiving content that honors your particular way of existing in the world, without trying to change you or adjust you to conventional standards of sociability. The journey of understanding and accepting these aspects of yourself is neither simple nor quick. Camus taught us that authentic life requires constant revolt against the world's attempts to mold us into forms that aren't genuinely ours. It requires the courage to continue feeling deeply in a world that often values superficiality more than authenticity. It requires the strength to remain true to your own experience, even when it means feeling different, even when it means being misunderstood, even when it means carrying a solitude that others can't always reach or alleviate. But this journey also offers rewards that those who live more automatically may never experience. The depth of your relationships, when you finally find people who can see and accept you as you really are. The authenticity of your experiences, which are genuinely yours and not shaped by others' expectations. The richness of your inner life, which is an entire universe of reflections, feelings, and insights that belong exclusively to you. The ability to find beauty and meaning in places where others only see triviality or emptiness. Perhaps the most important thing you can understand is that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing that needs to be fixed, adjusted, or changed for you to become more accepted or better understood by others. The world needs people like you, people who feel deeply, who question genuinely, who refuse to accept superficial versions of reality. The world needs your unique perspective, your particular way of seeing and feeling things, your ability to find depth where others see only surface. Your supposed coldness is, in reality, a form of warmth so intense that sometimes it needs to be protected and measured. Your apparent distance is actually such a deep proximity to the essence of things that sometimes it can be overwhelming. Keep being who you are. Keep feeling how you feel. Keep questioning how you question. The world already has enough people living automatically and superficially. What the world needs are more people like you, willing to live authentically and deeply, even if it means being misunderstood sometimes.